to Real Talk, Real Solutions, where authentic talk takes place with a biblical worldview. So I want to thank everyone for joining in tonight. I have a special guest, but she's known to a lot of other people. I'm just really so excited for my sister in Christ who is going to be sharing her testimony. And I have no doubt that it is going to be a very powerful one, that is going to be one um, that if those who will be showing up for the live, those who will watch it later, that um, that they will be blessed by it, and that there is hope, and there is deliverance. I won't say too much more because she's here. She's going to share this with us. But I do want to say, first of all, thank you, Shireen, my moderator, for holding it down. Thank you so much. Um, and I want to thank everyone who has showed up to support our sister. Thank you so much. And just a few things. If you have any questions along the way, please leave the letter Q in front of your question so that we can um, identify it and we can ask your question. And also, just like Shireen put, please like and share. Most of all, share this video so that others can be blessed by it. And if you haven't subscribed, that would be great as well. So I just want to, before I bring 2% on, I just want to express my gratitude of her and her willingness to just share such a personal story. It takes a lot of courage to do that, and what she has overcome in her life. And I have not heard all of her story. I've just a little bit, and I mean just a little bit from talking with her compared to what the whole her story will be. And so I do believe that it's going to help others. And most of all, that those who are going through any type of addiction, have gotten into other things, that there is hope and there is deliverance, because our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, He will get the glory. He will be the one to get the glory. For in Revelation, it says how they overcame by the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony. So, with that being said, to no further delay, I would like to bring on 2%. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay. Hello. How are you?
I'm doing well, but I don't see myself on Facebook, but I'm good.
Okay.
I don't know if you see me on Facebook or not,
Um, well, let me see.
because right
On
now I'm just seeing you.
really? Okay. Let's see. I think, yeah, I see us on Facebook. Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe it's just me.
Yes, I
Okay.
do.
Okay,
Okay.
good.
All right.
We can do this.
Okay.
Oh, there I am. Okay.
You see? Do you see?
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm going to stop looking at the chat room. I'm just going to be with you on the screen yard.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So I just want to make
So,
sure that you can hear me, first of all.
yes, yes,
Okay.
I can hear you. Yes,
Okay.
yes. So 2%. Can you, I know that most of the people in the chat that they do know you, but there are also others who are watching who don't know you. So could you kind of, to your comfort level, um, just introduce yourself to everyone, and then after that, I would say then we can get into your story before salvation and your amazing transformation.
Hi, hello. Overall, on me. My name is Tina. You guys know me as 2%. I'm a single mother. I live in Cali. I have one child. And, well, hopefully, whatever I say, if anybody is going through it, that it kind of helps you, but also let you know that even when all the things are going on with certain addictions, that God is still there. And we don't see him at the time, but as you know, if you're looking for him at some point in your life, actually he lets you know he's there. But when you're stuck in certain addictions, you don't see it right away. And like years later, I come to look at the things that have happened to me in the past and I see it now. But as I talk, I hope that you enjoy it. And I hate to say enjoy it because it's not all happy. Some things are weird and you're going to hear it. I mean, as much as I can, I'll give you all of it, but pretty much that's it. That's it. And I love my family on here because this is all the people I know. So I'm good.
Okay, okay, okay. So, so 2%. Can we begin with where let me ask this, did you grow up in a Christian home,
No,
or like kind of the okay.
no, I did not. No one I know in my family was Christian. I mean, when I say no one, I mean no one. Now, my grandmother, the only thing I remember from her is she would always read the Bible. And I would sit with her and we'd look at, back in the day, it was, the big thing was TBN. And I would sit and watch that with her, even though, sadly, all the bad things that came involved with that show. But I used to watch her with Frederick Casey Price. And that was the main person that I would watch when I was younger. Not that I listened because I understood, was because my grandmother was there, so I hung out with her most of my life. And she was the one I would talk to. But, and still, I didn't talk to her about everything. And that's the whole problem with my family is nobody talked. So to answer your question, no.
Okay. So, um, can you kind of walk us through um, when things started to like take a turn in your life, or was it more so that you just was maybe doing your own thing, kind of experimenting? Um, because it
Okay.
seems like from what I'm getting from you, that it wasn't a situation where, okay, I grew up in the church, then I just was like, oh, I'm leaving. I don't want to have nothing to do with it. So it doesn't seem like that's what it was from what I'm getting from you. So was it, how did things start where you started to maybe dabble into some other things? And
It's actually, I could start when I was say about maybe 9, but that's the story that I won't tell. Only because I haven't told family members about this story.
okay,
And that's involving, well, yeah.
okay.
But as far as like the relationship between me and my dad, it wasn't a good one. It was and it wasn't. And I wanted to be around him, but he didn't want to be around me like that. you know, but a lot of things happen that I have not yet to tell anybody. And I won't start here, but that's one of the biggest issues, or not even an issue, but it was one of the biggest pains in my life that never got uh, resolved. Let's just say that until, and I don't know if it's actually, that story is like later down the road, which will take us back to when I was younger and I would go stay at my grandmother's for the weekend. Now, my grandmother, yeah, she took you to church every Sunday. You had to go.
Okay.
But at that age I was in, whatever the pastor said didn't come in. It just went in one ear and out the other. I don't even remember if I was listening. So it was just that you had to go. So I knew what my thing was when I go see her, you get up Sunday, you go to church.
Right.
And so when things didn't start happening until I got into high school. Okay, so there's gonna be some big jumps when I talk to you because a lot of things I don't remember. You know, there's not like people consider saying, yeah, you know, and this as I grew up and blah blah blah. Mine's is like this. Elementary, you jump over into junior high, you jump over into high school. And so elementary, I didn't have friends. I have one friend in elementary. And so happy to say that this month, no, what's today's date? This month,
21st.
this month, I found my elementary school friend. And that was one of the big, well, actually, no, take that like that. I didn't find her, she found me. She said
Wow.
she was hoping I was still alive. I said, well, I'm glad I'm still alive to meet you. That was one of a good joy in my life right there because she was the only one I was friends with. I did not have friends but her. And I was shy, I was quiet, you know, I was picked on, and there was nobody there to come to my rescue or nobody there to say, how you doing? What is this? Do you need me to come? So that's elementary. And elementary to junior high. Okay, so I go to junior high, I go to Christian school.
Hmm.
Tell me when to stop. 'Cause I'm gonna be doing some jokes here, okay?
Okay.
So we jumping over into junior high. I go to Christian school. I went there 2 years. Okay, there's a pastor. He was in part over the church, and I'm 2 grades lower than my brother, but we all was in one class. Now, mind you, every day you get up and go to school, you go into the church. You had to hear the pastor. But there you go. In one ear, I hear you. In one, I couldn't tell you what he talked about, but I remembered the stick he had. Okay, I got the stick
Wait a
twice.
minute, a stick? Like a
Yes,
literal stick?
no, it was like one of those. It was a big one. It was called the rod of correction, and he walked around the school with it. So I remember that. That's like one of the memories I have, and I got it twice. Now I don't see that I was deserving of it, but the first one, yes, I can understand. We all got in trouble that day, and so after the 2 years of Christian school, I go into 1 year of junior high in a normal school. Mind you, a person like me who did not have friends except in elementary, and you take me out of a public school where everybody's in one class, all the grades except the little kids, but all the grades are in one. Now you send me to a school where I have to learn. I got 6 classes now,
Ooh.
and I don't have friends in junior high.
Mm.
I'm still that quiet, shy person who don't know how to make friends, or people that I saw I didn't like, so I just stayed to myself. So that last year in junior high was just me. Now we okay, that's where I have to stop because this is where the story time come in. When okay, I'm not trying to get this story time right. When I was in no, we're gonna go over to high school because it was like the second year of high school.
Okay.
Now, my mom was a stickler too. You go into class, you go to school, you come home for the girls. Now, my brother could do anything he want. You go to school, I come home. And I used to cry to go out with somebody. Like, my friends want to go. Can y'all go? Why I can't go? But I don't want you to get pregnant. That was the last thing on my mind, to get pregnant. I just wanted to go out and have fun with friends. Now, mind you, they had to come over my house sometime and beg my mom to let me go.
Oh, okay.
So my whole life was go to school, come home, go to school, come home. And I really just wanted to get out. So in high school, I had two friends.
Okay.
And one of them, we used to wonder why she never came to school. But later on, we find out she used to go through a hole in the gate. And I didn't know about ditching. I never knew what a ditch was at that time. So we used to like, well, and so, every friends get together, be like, come on, let's go, let's do this. In the back of my head, I'm like, no, you shouldn't be doing this. But yet that side that wants to do something,
Mm,
when you know your mom is going to tell you no,
right.
it takes over common sense. So we all run out through the hole, run off. This is how I learned about Hollywood. Okay. I didn't know what Hollywood was, but that was the place for us to go. Okay. You know what Hollywood is like now. They call it Holly Weird, and it was weird back then too.
Okay.
Okay. So nothing happened at that time, but I had a family member who I found out later he was Buddhist. And I used to hear tingling bells come from his place. Ting, ting, ting. I used to be like, what is that?
Right.
So I went over because he was like right next door to me. And and I saw he had the temple sit up there. He had this little temple sitting up there where he had the incense. And I guess now I know that where he would pray to Buddha or whatever he was doing.
Right.
I remember he asked me because I saw the Ouija board under his bed.
Mm,
And I asked him, I said, you play the Ouija board? He said, yeah, you want to play with me? I said, no, no, no. I said, no, I don't want to. Now you got to remember at that time, the movie The Exorcist had came out.
mm,
So that's what kept me from doing it. Now, had they had movies for everything in my life, I probably would be the best girl ever. Would have never tried nothing, would have never did nothing. But he was like, "Oh, you should try it with me one day." I said, "No, no." I said, "No," and I left and went home. Now, mind you, we used to all sit around the table, and everybody would play dominoes. And this same family member, one day I used to hear them talking, and now I can understand why the elders would be like, "Don't have the child listen to what she's saying," as far as the adults. Now, I'm still in that frame of mind that, man, I don't get to do nothing. I just come home and I go to school. And so I heard this family member, I heard him say, he talked about traveling. He's like, oh, no, take that back. Okay. Along with the ditching, we came into this occult store. Okay, I'm going a little ahead of myself.
okay.
And we was doing all kind of silly stuff, horoscopes and all this stuff, reading about what sign can go with this sign. And so one day we went to this occult store and talked with this woman. And she was like talking to us and asking us what we wish and what we want in our life. And of course, me and my dumb self gonna be like, man, I want to earn a lot of money. Because if I earn a lot of money, I can leave home and go travel. Okay. She made, I didn't quite understand. It was me and another friend. She made us a mojo bag.
A
And
what? Oh,
mojo,
oh,
Mojo, mojo. Now, I didn't know what it was. So she told me. Now, she gave us a few things to go along with it. I'm going to tell you what it was for.
okay.
It was a bag, and she gave us these little booklets. And and you know me, I'm nosy because I'm feeling it, and I feel rocks and I feel sticks in there. And my curiosity wants to open this bag and see what's inside. She said, don't open it.
Can I stop you really quick? What's
Yeah,
a mojo bag?
it, good question. It was what I could think of. It was okay. I can only tell you what she told me it was for. She said, if that's what you want as well, you take this bag when you take this bag when you're taking a bath or a shower in the water. You have this oil. She gave you this oil. Now, mind you, she gave us all this for free. She gave us this oil, and you are to touch the bag. And while you're touching the bag, you're meditating on what it is that you want. And I'm thinking like, oh boy, this is good. I'm gonna get rich, and I'm gonna have all this, and I'm gonna leave home. And still, that's what my mind was on, just getting away from the house. So she said, yeah, you do that. You gotta meditate on it. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do that. That night I did. I get in the bath and I'm meditating, and I'm thinking this is gonna happen real soon. But I did want to open it. She told me if you ever decide to let this bag go, you need to burn it. Okay, now mind you, it came with little cards and booklets. It says like, well, it says, you know, to, oh gosh, okay, I'll just say this. The one thing that kind of scared me was there was one that says you can open doors.
Mm.
And now I'm sitting up there looking around like, open what kind of door? Now, mind you, another movie had came out at this time, and the movie was called Hellraiser. And the movie was about opening doors.
Mm.
And it was a box that you would open doors to the demonic world. And I remembered that in my head, and something said, no, don't mess with the opening of doors, leave that alone. Now I knew just from the movie, this is something that I'm not to do. You don't play with that one. You do the wealth one, you meditate on that one. Oh, and it was like turning on lights and some other weird thing they had on it. So I'm like, well, I'm not going to touch those. I'm just going to go for the money and go for the wealth. Now, mind you, about a week after that, I said, I'm still poor. So I'm like, okay. I took that mojo and I threw it in the drawer. Couldn't find it no more after that. I mean, when I talk about couldn't find it, I knew I threw that thing in the drawer. She said I was supposed to burn it. I said, I can't burn it. I said, oh, well, I guess that's that. Because I really didn't know what happened. So
Right.
I told this family member, I said, when I had it, I said, look, I got a mojo bag. He was happy. He said, wow. He said, have you tried it? I said, well, I'm getting ready to. But not knowing that he knew it all. And one day he said, you should try astral projection. This is this same family member. I'm like, well, what's that? He said, oh, he started telling me these stories about how you could travel, how you can go. Now, mind you, travel is the thing that I wanted to do because I want to get away from home. And that struck my attention. I'm
Mm.
like, where are you traveling to? He said, anywhere you want. So I'm like, well, so he told me what the name was. Now in my head, I'm like, okay, when we did school again, we going back to Hollywood. So I did school. I go back to Hollywood and we go to this occult store. Mind you, we was always going to some occult store because in the end I wanted a crystal ball. I wanted to do all this stuff because it looked interesting. And she had a solid white one that had light coming out of it. And I was like, oh, that's a nice one. I want that. I just want any old thing. I just wanted to do any old thing. And I had the people around me who one of them actually wanted to mess around with things like crystals and stuff. Okay, so we went into this occult bookstore. I'm looking for the thing that this family member had told me about. And I found the book. Now, if you got a question to ask me, because this is story time coming up again, because I'm going to go into what it means and what I did.
So
Okay.
I do have a question. So,
Mhm.
did you know what the occult was? Did you know, like, what was attached to it? Or
Not
you
really. I mean, I used to
understand?
watch scary movies, but I just looked at it as that's a scary movie, and oh yeah, he's evil, and that's and this is the devil, but not like a cult, not like I'm going to go to a because I wouldn't go to a fortune teller. Now this is how crazy my mind was. I knew something was wrong, but some things intrigued me.
Mm,
And when you tell me that I can travel to places without leaving my house, I was like, wow, that's cool. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do that. So it's like this is why I say about stumbling blocks and what you let your child hear and when you're not paying attention to them because it was said in front of a room full of people. Nobody said no. Don't you dare do that. And maybe because he was my family member, and maybe they were afraid, maybe they just didn't know what to say. But so I go out and buy the book. Okay, so I get home. Now, mind you, I didn't read the book through to through. I just got to the good part where it tell you what to do. That's where you mess up at. So me, I'm just gonna get to the good part. Tell me what I'm supposed to do, and it tells you what you're supposed to do. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do this. I had my own room at that time. I'm just gonna do this. So first night, it tells you to lay down and relax, and it tells you to think of yourself coming out of your body, and it's almost like you willing yourself out of your body. So I'm like, okay. So I'm laying down and I'm laying there. I'm just laying there and I'm laying there. So I got tired of laying there. I got up. I said, okay, that didn't work. So I'm gonna try it again the next night. It didn't work. The third night, okay, I said I'm gonna relax. You start to feel this little. Well, I ain't gonna say you because I don't know what other people who've done it have felt. I started to feel like it's like a tingling in the fingers, and so and I'm trying to relax, but yet I'm like, what's going on? Why is my fingers feeling like they're moving, and I know I'm just laying there. So I got up because it took too long. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna try this again. It was about a week later. This girl, there's a butt fly in here. I'm gonna get that joker, and I'm gonna get. I told you I got this electric thing, and I'm gonna
I
zap him.
did. I know. I had a
Or
gnat
he
that was
all in my
flying around.
face. So if I'm swinging all the time, you know why? Look at that joker. You know what? This is gonna be a funny. You'll be like, what is this? What this girl
Oh,
doing? Okay, so let me get into it. The last week, um, I said I'm gonna stay in the bed no matter what. So I went and got in the bed, laid down. You lay down flat with your arms to your side, and I'm thinking in my head, come out my body. I want to come out my body. I want to come out my body. What I remember from the book is that you are to put a sign up that you consider a protection. So me, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna put the cross up because I know that that's God, and nothing gonna happen if it's Him there. And mind you, this is. I said, God, know God is looking at her like, what is she doing? And so I'm like, okay, I think of the cross, and I'm thinking of myself coming out of my body. Then I started to feel extra relaxed. I started to feel light. I started to feel like when you're drowsy and your whole body is relaxed. And I said, I'm not going to move. And I kept saying, I want to come out my body. I want to come out my body. Okay. This night it worked. I saw myself, and this is the crazy part. I saw myself sitting up in my bed, in my room. When I okay, it's crazy. When I sit up on my bed, I'm looking this way and I can see myself laying down on the bed. That's how crazy that is. I can see myself laying down on the bed. And I'm like, oh, I did it. So I turned this way to look straight ahead. Now, on the end of my bed, there was somebody. And all I can tell you about what I saw is I knew it was a man, and it was black. It was blacker than your shadow. It was like looking into a hole, but the shape of a man. But when I say that, it's like you couldn't see any colors or like, maybe it was grayish or it was pitch black. And I could say blacker than black, but he was sitting on the end of my bed and he was looking at me. And so I jumped like this, but when I jumped like this, I went backwards. Now, I can only call it as a spirit, my spirit. I want to call it that because that's what you're trying to have come out of your body is your spirit, because it's the one that's going to travel. And so I jump back and I look like this, and I'm looking at the end of my bed, and there's no one there. Mind you, about maybe a day or so later, I told this family member about it, the one who actually I heard, and he said, "Did you talk to him?" I said, "Did I talk to who?" I said, "No, I didn't talk to him." I said, "No." I said, "That was not right." I said, what am I supposed to say? He said, "Well, next time you do it, say something, talk to him." I'm like, "No." I said, "I don't think I want to do that no more. I don't want to do that no more." And he said, "Oh, you should." Now, mind you, if I went back to school, I'm not telling nobody this because I know it's just me. I don't have a family member that I can talk to. I don't have people I can talk to because I've never had no one to talk to. Our family was not to that point where everybody, you could go to them to talk. Okay, it wasn't like that. So I didn't know who to go to. So I kept it all to myself. And this is when I tell you that when I say I had to learn everything on my own, even through trial and error, and the stupidity things that I can say now is stupidity because I'm like, what was I thinking? And we ditched school the next day. Wait, I was doing a lot of ditching. We went back to the occult store. Okay. So I got another book on the same thing. I said, well, maybe let's see what this book says. Now, the first thing that happened when I opened that book when I got home, the first words I saw was warning.
Warning?
No, warning with a W,
warning.
like it's warning you or something. Well, I didn't see that in the first book. And so, here I go. I'm skipping pages. I'm going to the warnings to see what's going on. So it says, if you go out and travel, if you go and travel, are you okay with hearing me?
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. I'm gonna put it closer to my mouth. Maybe it's better. If you go traveling, you need. Okay. This is when it talked about the protection, not the first time. I'll take that back. You need to put up a protection that will watch, like something that you trust to watch over you while you're out. And I learned that when you travel, you are attached to yourself by like an umbilical cord. It's a cord from your stomach that goes to your body like a baby. So you're attached to yourself. But the warning was, should while you're out, something comes and break that cord, you're dead. And that's pretty much what it said. It said you're dead.
Wow.
I'm sitting up there looking like, and then it tells you also if you don't put up a protection while you're out, you can become possessed by whatever's out there. It can take over your body. You will be dead, but that entity, spirit, whatever, can come in and take over you. This is how I know God was watching over me, because
Wow.
he knew. Okay, I always say he knew where I was going to end up. But I was allowed to do the stupid stuff because I was being rebellious, you know. But it was like I was so hooked on doing something because I was never allowed to do anything when I was younger. So now I'm at a point now where now I know how to ditch, and I know how to, and I'm listening to stuff, and I want to try things, but I was trying the wrong things. Okay, so mind you, after that, I didn't do it no more. I let that go. It scared me. It scared me. I wish you could. Well, I kind of wish I could draw, because I would draw what I saw of that figure sitting on my bed looking at me like he was waiting for me to go completely out, which I wasn't. My legs were still inside me, but I was sitting up. And it kind of makes me think about that movie Ghosts, when Patrick Swayze died and his spirit comes out. Except with this one, you're still attached to yourself by a cord that can be broken. And I thank God for watching over me, because I was doing some crazy stuff, and God was nowhere in my mind and thought at this time. You know, I would think about him every blue moon when sometimes it would come in my head, but at this point in time, he was not in my thoughts.
Right.
But I thank God that I was in his,
Right.
because
So,
I'm seriously.
mm, Tina, how many times did you do that? Like after the first time, did you like repeat it? Did
I
it
tried to, I was going to do, I was intent on doing it every day until it worked. I was
Oh, so this was in stages, like you did it
every
and
day.
then you had the experience of seeing the figure and all that, and so okay, okay,
It took me about a week, because I said at that last week, I said, look, I'm not getting out of my bed until this thing works.
okay,
Okay, so, and I
okay,
tell people it works. I
okay.
said, when people tell me, oh, you lying, or I'm like, no, I can't lie about this. I said, I can't lie. Why would I lie about something like that? I said, sometimes it's even crazy to me what I saw.
Yeah.
And to think that I have a family member who would push me towards that. Now,
Yeah.
mind you, we're going to jump to a different subject, because pornography was a part of my growing up too. And it
Mm,
all started when I was a little girl, seeing things that I shouldn't have.
okay.
But when I got older, that same family told me I should go look at this movie. And the movie is called Caligula. And I'm thinking like, well, why would I want to look at the movie? Is it good? He said, yeah, it's about the Romans and all this. And he said, I think you'll like it.
Mm,
So I'm sitting up here like, I'm trying to type Caligula because I'm going to tell you what it says. And because that is important, knowing what he sent me to. Okay, because the movie Caligula, it's about Gaius Caesar Augustus, better known as Caligula, and it talks about like all the things that they did in the Roman days, you know. And it was actually the first time I've seen man on man. That was the
I
first
never
time.
heard of that
I
movie,
wouldn't I wouldn't
and
recommend that
I
movie
don't want to.
to no one. And when I looked it up, it is an X-rated movie.
It
It is
is.
rated X. And when you think about what they were doing back then, you know, the sins that they were doing, man on man, woman on woman, and the movie has a little bit of everything in it. Now, mind you, I'm sitting up there and I'm looking at this like, and it was. Now I can say it now. Back then, that's just my mind was just like, what am I looking at? It was it was good. I have to be honest. It was a good movie.
Mm,
But some of the things was scary. Some of the things was just straight out, I have never seen this before. What am I looking at? And this is, and you know how when you look at something like supposed, but you're looking around, make sure your family ain't there. And I'm looking at it like this. So the family member, after I saw it, he said, "Why you like the movie?" I'm like, "It was good, but it was a lot of gross stuff in there." And so that's probably the first hardcore stuff I saw. That's the beginning. And so in high school, that was like one of the things that I did. Now, at the time I left high school, I started getting in. Don't ask me how. I started, I left the occult stuff alone. I wasn't really doing that no more, but I did like to watch horror movies. I did like to watch things like that. But I was watching porn movies. I was watching those. And it's sad to say that I saw some things I didn't know could happen. And I didn't know, well, actually, take that lie back. It happened in high school. We used to go to Hollywood. Don't send your kids to Hollywood for nothing. This is where it all happened. Okay,
Could I stop you? When you say
yes,
Hollywood, like, can you explain? Like, I know you're LA,
yeah,
Hollywood. Like,
yes,
what do you
that
like?
Hollywood.
What does when you say Hollywood?
Hollywood,
What do you mean? Like,
Hollywood
how?
for us was just Hollywood. Hollywood, California. Now it's like a junk place where a lot of homeless are. And but Hollywood back then was a place where all the famous people would be. And
Okay,
so we went to go see like people who would dress up like your favorite singer, and we would go for that, and it was fun. But that's where I found out a lot of stuff that that I was doing wrong. We went down there for fun, and unfortunately, the bad stuff I did was for fun too. And but it was a place to go. It's where you got the stars on the ground, Hollywood, where
so
the
you would
stars are.
so you would see that like there's an area where you can see like the stars.
Well, when a person is famous, they get their star put on the ground.
Right.
So
So
there's yeah,
that's a place that's open to the public.
that's the place where you just walking on everybody. Yeah, you walking on stars after stars after stars. Roman Chinese theater, uh, the wax figures of all the famous people. It's like around in that area.
Oh,
But
okay.
Hollywood was also a place of witchcraft and X-rated video stores, places, X-rated movies where you can pay to go into booths and look at X-rated videos, which is
Wow.
what we did. We went out there and we got into that, and I was hooked on that. I was hooked on that, and when I talk about hook, it's that is so addicting, especially when you're young, and the things that come along with it, and like I guess I could say masturbation on here because that's exactly what it was. All those things came along with it, and it comes to a point where once you start it feel okay. I'm gonna have to be honest. It felt good back then. Those things feel good, and I'm still young. I'm young, and I'm coming into. You already have all these women hormones and issues, and you look at guys, and you're thinking about them, and you look at people on TV, and you're thinking about them. But like I said, if people knew what I saw, and some things was. I'm trying to figure out how to start. It went beyond man, woman. I saw things from bestiality. I saw things
What?
that
Oh,
I didn't even know people could do. Some things, and I was on my computer doing it, and I was looking at things, and what you don't know about it, if you go to one of them places, and I try to tell people, don't even be tempted. It sets off a virus in your computer. right? Whatever you're looking at on it, it sets off a virus that when you turn it on, it recommends those things to you. It pops these things on. So I was in constant looking at stuff and watching people do it live, and just that's how addicting porn is. And it makes you, and in your mind you start thinking, this is the type of person I want to be with, because while you're watching them, you're getting excited too. And but I was still single at the time. And but how can I say it? Even though you see certain things, eventually your mind want to see more. You want to see what this person is doing. Oh my goodness, what is this doing? I ain't never seen nothing like this. Let me go look at it. So it's like, as the deeper you want to get into that, the internet will take you there. And it was to the point where, I'm hiding, I'm looking around, because in my head I know that's wrong,
Right.
and mind you, I'm still young, but you look around, you know this is not right, because why are you looking around? Why are you looking around if it's okay?
Mm.
Because yeah, because you know it's not. And but yet the temptation to look is greater than getting in trouble or being caught. And so into my 20s, I should say, and I got into books. Okay, so this is like in my 20s, like around the time, I guess that's the time Twilight came out, around that time. So, I read the books, and then I started getting more and more into like the vampire novels, and oh yeah, yes it will. She's right. And so I got into vampire novels, and the thing about vampire novels is you you're brought into a world where the men in the books are so exciting. Oh, and they are full descriptive of how they are. Mind you, they tell you that they're demons, but those demons love their women. They're sexual. They're protectors.
Mm.
They are handsome. What does that remind you of? It kind of reminds you of when the fallen angels come down to seduce the women. But in the books, it's pretty much like that. And you're stuck, and you're constantly reading these books, constantly reading these books. And so what comes with that, and I've even read books about, they're called shadow dwellers. And they're people and those demons that look like shadows. And I started thinking about the man that was on my bed that day I did that.
Right.
And there are so many different stories out there, and it wasn't no Fabio, because Fabio was too tame. I didn't like Fabio back then, so it was not that kind of romance. They were all demonic novels, but
Mm.
I didn't see that. I saw a romance book that's letting you think that these demons are the type of man you want, because what happens is you start looking at men differently, and you start looking for a certain type of man. And if this man is weak, it's not what you want, because he's not like the guys in the book I read. He's not like the demons in the book I read. So the mind. This is how I can't stop saying I don't know what I was doing at that time. It's almost like you're possessed
Right.
with looking at this stuff and reading this stuff. And so worse around my 20s, while I was doing all this book reading and all this, I have to tell you, I had moved away when I met my son's father. Mind you, we living in sin. I don't know. All I could remember my mother talking about a man was, I don't ever want to be married because I don't want no man telling me what to do. That was her all my life.
Mm,
So I go into a relationship on looks, number one,
on looks.
and on looks. And I had this thing about men with long hair. So that's the way my son's father was. He had nice big curly hair, and I think I told you that one, didn't I? Did I tell
No,
you?
no, no, no.
He had nice big curly hair. It was sandy brown, and it was big and it was curly. Mind you, years later, that curly hair went straight, and I found out the story of that one.
Okay.
His sister put a perm in it and burned his hair out, so it made
Oh,
it
my
frizzly
God.
and big. So, but I didn't see that. I just see hair. Mind you, we get together and we still living in sin because nobody's getting married, nobody's wanting to do that. And he turned me down because they had got so long that I asked him, and he turned me down. But in my stupidity of not knowing how to handle myself in situations like that, because I had no self-esteem,
Mm,
and so I kept myself in that type of relationship. But to not go too far ahead, because um, being in that type of frame of mind as far as the occult and all the sex things that you do. When I moved in with him, we moved into this apartment. Now, mind you, I'm still reading the books.
okay.
And um, one day he left me and my son. Just my son was born at this time. He left me and my son alone in the apartment, and it was nighttime. Now, and I had these two little dogs. While I was laying in bed, I saw somebody go into the back where my son is. Mind you, it's just us two in the house. But I see the shadow go to the back.
Mm,
So first thing I do, the dogs are not barking. You are supposed to see all this stuff before you. But I get up and I go running to the back, and my son is asleep. And so I'm like, what's that I'm looking at? What did I just see? So I said, okay, I'm gonna go back to bed. Okay, story time. I have to say it like this
mm,
because this is when I wish there was someone there to tell me what's going on.
okay.
Um,
Can I interject a question
sure.
at this point? So what you're about to story time, and I appreciate how you're breaking it up like that. Um,
Because it's the way
what?
I remember it.
Oh,
It's,
okay.
yeah, and
Oh,
it's not intentional.
oh,
It's how I remember things. Because I always say my life is like a puzzle. Some pieces are missing, and I can only
sure,
tell you the things that I can remember.
sure.
So,
Yes, you're doing great. 2%. You're doing good. Um, so were you still at that point, so you were not doing anything like with the occult stuff? You was not doing anything
no,
still.
no.
Okay.
By that
Okay.
time, I had stopped.
At that
But
time you had stopped
right,
doing that. Okay.
by
Okay.
that time, I had stopped. But the thing is, what you don't understand is well, not you, but like people don't understand is when you start stuff like that, it goes with you. If you don't know, like now I know. If I knew, if someone I knew the Lord, and I could have trusted to tell these things, they would have took me out of that. They would have showed me how to deal with the things that I was seeing.
Right.
And but there was nobody there because everybody's living in sin. Everybody but my son, because he was little. But yes, there was no one. And even though I wasn't doing the occult stuff, they're still watching the nudity, watching all the nasty stuff that you can find on the internet. There's still pornography, masturbation, all that is still going on.
Right.
So this one night, I went to lay down to go to sleep. Now, mind you, I'm laying on my back, and I stopped laying on my back for a long time. And I mean a long time after this, not only with the when doing the astral projection of you laying on your back, something comes out, but because of this thing, I'm gonna tell you now.
Okay.
So I'm laying down on my back, and I used to like being a back sleeper, and I have one of the dogs staying with me, and like I said, you think dogs are supposed to see this, but she didn't notice, or I didn't know she noticed, or what. I'm laying down on my back, and this dark shadow comes over me.
Mm.
Mind you, eyes are closed because I'm trying to go to sleep. But the darkness you see when you close your eyes, sometimes you close your eyes, but you can still see lights. The shadow that came over was pitch black. And I have to say it was a man, because that's the feeling that I got, was that this is a male figure. Because what happened was it laid on me. It laid on me to the point I couldn't breathe. Okay, now they call it, um, what they call that? When you have that feeling of something laying on you. Oh, I had it not too long ago. They call it, them just call it a different name. Maybe somebody in the audience could say what it is, but they call it now. They try to normalize it into. They try to normalize it now, but and it was in my head yesterday when I talked to you. It was in my head to know it, but the doctors will tell you that it's okay. It's bad because this word is important. So if anybody can tell me what that word I'm thinking of. So I'm laying on my back, and this black figure lays on top of me, and it's heavy. It's heavy to the point I can't take a deep breath. And it's holding my arms down. Paralyzed. No, not paralyzed. Oh man, it's on the tip of my tongue, and I hate that when that happens. It's holding my hands down, and I can't move. I can't yell. I can't do anything but see this blackness. But my mind can work. My brain works just fine. The first thing I could think of was, Jesus, help me. Jesus, help me. Help me, Jesus, help me. And I'm yelling this in my head. So I think people should know that you don't have to know how to speak to call him. You can call him in your head. He still hear you. Mind you, I hadn't given my life up to Christ. But I knew to call. No, this is way before. Yes. But when this happened, he was the first person I could think of to call for help. And as soon as I called his name, whatever that was left. It left, and I can feel the weight lifting up off of me, and I can move again. It's something about being paralyzed. I can't think of that word, but oh, there it is. Thank you, Lisa. Whoever else said it, sleep paralysis. That's the one. That's not true. I don't believe in sleep paralysis. That's not true, because I know what happened to me. And I wasn't paralyzed like that, because, yeah, I was paralyzed to the point I couldn't move, but I knew it wasn't It was because something had laid on top of me. It was something there. And that's why, I could never tell nobody because I'm the only one seeing this. And it didn't really come to me that it's because of all of the stuff that I'm reading and all of the things that I'm seeing. And so I used to work at TSA at that time. So I went to work and I told one of my friends, and it's a man. And he was so excited about what I heard, what he heard from me. And he was like, "That's not good." Because I told him, I said it was a black figure. And I told him about both of them. And yeah, I miss him. I miss him because he had me laughing. His accent was so strong, and you couldn't. And you try to be serious about what you're telling them, and he'd be up there like, "Oh no, 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 they're no good. They're no good. They're no good. No, they're not good. Next time tomorrow, tell me some more. What happened?" I was like, "You're supposed to be." You're supposed to be helping me understand this, and you make it laugh.
Oh
So
my
you're making
God.
me laugh. So every day I come to work, he wants to know what happened. I'm like, well, nothing happened. Nothing else has happened. So if you have any questions, just break in on me, okay? Because around this time, I, I was with TSA for 11 years plus, and things went downhill with me and my son's father. Okay. We lost that nice house that was up there. I lost my dogs, which I think hurt me more than losing him. So,
Oh, oh my. Okay.
because my dogs I knew loved me, and I was crazy about them dogs. Now, mind you, I still hadn't come to Christ right by then. And He will let you hit rock bottom. He will let you hit rock bottom. But I used to think and pray like, if you need me to get out of here, let me get out of here. And I almost, well, the only reason I left TSA is because things had gotten so stressful with me and him. I had caused a breach at work, and you can't cause a breach. That means they had to go. But what I didn't know was they did a test on me, and I failed it. But I was having so much stuff in my head that was just messing with me, and the anger I had against my son's father, and and the fact that he let the house go. And I'm like, I only got this one paycheck. I can't pay for that house. And he always liked to live beyond his means.
Mm.
And so, but I'm just going along with him because he always said I never listened to him. I'm the man. You never listen to me. So this time I'm going to listen to you. And we see where that head because he don't know Christ either. So we just living in sin, and of course I had my son in sin, and the way we was living didn't do well with my son. You didn't see it when he was little, but you see it now that he's older because of the anger that he has. And so when I left after I got just straight tired. I told the airport, I said I gotta go. And that was another sad part of my life. I'm like, I gotta go. I said, because, and so I called my mother who was down here, and I asked her if I can come because she's the only place I could know to come. She had this apartment here, which is entirely too small for both of us. But eventually, I'm gonna get myself out of here, And but that's a whole nother story right there because her health went bad. So now I can't leave her by herself. Hold on one second for me.
Okay. So let's see.
I, okay, I'm back.
Okay.
So I came to move down here with her. Now, I still hadn't gave my life over to Christ. I came down here in 2020 when the COVID came out, well, the Corona at that time,
Okay.
It was called. So the way I left the airport, I couldn't get hired again by them for a whole year.
Mm,
So in that time, people stopped hiring because of that, the corona.
right.
So now I'm without a job.
Mm,
So, and nobody's hiring you unless you had the shots. And I knew I wasn't going to do that. So I end up moving down here with my mom. And to show you how I know, and this is my feelings, how I know God was setting me up for something different.
right.
When I left, I packed all my bags up. I packed everything up. And he sat there and he looked at me, did not say nothing. This is my son's father. Did not say nothing to me while I was packing bags. I
Okay.
had to go and rent a van. When I got there were two vans available. The man said, "Which one you want?" I said, "I don't know because I don't know how much stuff is that these vans are going to hold." And
Right.
so I picked the second van because he said it was bigger. So mind you, when I packed my stuff in that van, I tell people, I said, it's no lie. All my things fit in that van like a puzzle. And when I say a puzzle, it was filled from where I was to the back. No space on the side, but everything slid in like a puzzle. And I told somebody, I said, now I think about that, it was time to go.
It was.
It was time for me to break off that relationship that I was doing with him.
Right.
And and so I came down here, and so I moved in with my brother first. Mind you, my brother right next door. And
Oh,
so,
okay.
yeah, so everybody's in the same place. So my brother right next door. So when I came down here, my brother was on the verge of losing the apartment because at that time he was having trouble finding work too. So
Okay.
I came down here and I call this a blessing and a curse coming down here.
Hmm.
And you'll see why. So when I came down here with him getting ready to lose his place, I was able to help him, but that meant taking all my 401k money to help him catch up with his back rent.
Oh.
Excuse me,
Mm.
because I'm gonna wipe my nose real quick, but you can
Oh,
talk real quick.
I'm just looking at the comments, and I'm definitely going to be posting those up. So, but okay, okay, hear you.
I oh
Okay,
I can't see them. Like when you post them, I can't see them. So if
okay,
anybody wanted to ask a question, I'll answer it the best of my ability.
okay.
But I end up using all my money to help him save his place so he didn't have to get kicked out.
Mm,
So I'm sitting there like, wow, I just came from the frying pan and went into the fire
wow.
because I know still I had not surrendered to God. I had not surrendered to Him.
Mm,
He was in my mind, but not to the point that I'm going to come to Him yet because I'm
okay.
still stuck in my old sinful ways.
Mm,
So when I moved in with Him, now my brother, now let me tell you this, my brother is into some weird stuff too. I said, why I come from all this weird stuff to come over here to some more weird stuff?
oh my.
Because he's into this Egyptian stuff, right? And he had this weird stuff playing. And I'm sitting over there. Now, mind you, I had to stay in the living room. So I'm in there laying in the, now, mind you, when like I said, when you put yourself to the occult, you see things. And they can make you, if I was to take this to a doctor, he would say I was crazy. I have never went to a doctor for my issues, never. And I never would. And I'm sitting there laying in the bed, it's nighttime. And I'm like, who is that in the kitchen? And there was somebody facing the stove. I just saw the legs. So I'm yelling, I'm calling my brother, and I'm like, is there somebody in here? He said, why? I said, I saw someone in the kitchen. And they were facing towards the stove. So, oh, you crazy. Ain't nothing going on. So my brother tried to be funny. He'll go, oh, yeah, that's my friend. I said, no, it ain't. That ain't your friend. I said, I said, it's somebody in here. Now,
Mm.
mind you, I found out from the neighbor who lives over this way, which because she used to live over there in the place that he's in. I asked her, I said, when you used to live in that place, did you see anything? She said, oh, you seen it too? I said, oh, I said, what? She said, yeah, I used to see stuff in there. I was like, oh my goodness. I'm like, oh, here we go. So, mind you, my son had moved away to North Dakota, and but he came back. And so he moved in with my brother. This is crazy how everything is going. He moved in with my brother, so I came over here with my mother. So I'm thinking everything gonna be okay and good over here. It ain't all that good.
Mm.
It ain't good because story time is coming up again. But whenever you want to stop me, you got to stop me because I'll keep talking.
Okay. Does well, let me do this. Does anyone have any questions leading up to before story time as 2%, how she's breaking it up like that? And you're doing great. You really are.
Well, at least I'm not crying yet.
Oh, you haven't started crying yet? Okay. No
No, because I
questions.
left out the family. I left out my father because that's still a painful thing for me to talk about him. But in the end, I will tell you what happened, but not about the things that happened between me and him. But I will tell you what I found out, and
Oh,
and this is, and it's actually one of the more painful things. But I'll save that for the end.
okay. Okay. Take your time. So no questions. So we
Good,
can,
I can finish the story.
yeah, yeah.
So I moved over to where I am now, and so my mother used to have these pictures on the wall. And I tell people, I'm like, when you open yourself to the occult, even the tiniest things can set you off. And when I say that, it's like, I hate to say you see things, but you do. And she had this picture of this clown that was behind the door, right? She got
Mm,
this picture from a junk that somebody threw out.
right.
Now, mind you, during this time that I'm over here with her at night, okay, so it's just me and my mom. Okay, it's a one bedroom apartment and it's just tight. So we're sharing together. I'm on one side, she's on the other.
Right.
And I used to lay in the bed at night and I could see somebody walk by. And I used to be like, you see that? She'd be like, I don't see nothing. I said, you didn't see that one into the living room? She's like, no, I don't see, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't see nothing. And it happened over and over and over till I'm like, wow, what is going on? What is this? And one day I was laying in the bed and I looked at that clown. And I kid you not, that clown was looking right back at me. Okay, the picture of the clown, he has really big eyes.
Okay.
He's holding a poodle who has really big eyes.
Okay.
Maybe it was the way the picture was made,
Right.
and it was behind the door and the TV, so it left this much of a space.
Okay.
So I'm trying to get my head. So it's kind of like the eyes are looking, and it's like the lights are out, and the eyes are looking at me. So I'm freaking out. I'm like, why don't you get rid of those pictures? I said, something is not right. I said, and so she would be like, well, why are you doing that? I said, because that clown is looking. She's like, girl, that clown ain't looking at you. I said, yes, he is. I said, come lay over here. Let's switch beds tonight, and you look at that clown. No, because there is nothing going on. I'm like, yeah, you don't want to switch, huh?
Right.
So, and I'm sitting up
Uh-huh.
there, hey, no, I really need to blow my nose, but I don't want to do it on camera. But I complained and I complained, and this one is kind of funny, but still, I didn't. Now, mind you, I didn't like this picture. She had a picture in the bathroom. It was of a little devil, and he was sitting on the toilet. It's the truth. He was a little devil boy sitting on the toilet and then she had it in the bathroom. And I used to be like, why is this in here? Oh, these are the things she found in yard sales.
Yard
I'm
sale.
like, I wish you get rid of that. I said, that is not even right. Now, and I'm like, it's just not right. Well, I'm not going to get rid of it. Okay. Time went by. She didn't believe me. Okay. This is where things get a little more more visual. I mean, things were like I could say was it's not a shadow no more. Let's just say that.
Oh, okay.
Now, mind you, at this time, I want to say at the right time, because at this time, I started going. No, I hadn't started going to this church at this time, and but I I started reading my Bible more.
Oh,
Now I'm gonna tell you what got me. Okay, I can tell you this is how this is my story. People may say, "Oh no, you're not saved," but hold on, let me want to know.
okay. Oh,
I really need to blow it,
do
but I
you
can't
need
wait.
to? If you do, you need to. I can. You can. I can like take
Mom, we
you
gotta get rid of
behind.
this. I gotta get this story out. I'm okay.
You okay? Okay.
Yeah, we
Okay.
gotta do
Want
this.
you to blow?
I'll blow later. So, because I
Oh,
want to get
okay.
this one out. I said I
Okay.
wasn't gonna make this a 5 hour video. Okay. Now,
No,
mind you,
we can have part. Like
I know
part
you do.
one.
I know you like them parts. Wait, I don't want to do the part
Okay.
because you know why? Because sometimes I want to forget what I saw.
Sure. Sure.
Now, at this time, I found out, mind you, nobody knew what I was dreaming. Nobody knew that I couldn't lay down on the pillow without, okay, dreaming about this person, this fictional vampire novel person. Every time I lay down, I had to think about him before I went to sleep. Now, mind you, in my dream, in these thoughts, it was sexual,
Mm.
and I couldn't stop him. Every night, I couldn't go to sleep without that thought being in my head. That I would dream that that's my husband, and he's yeah, I know he's the devil or he's an evil demon, but he takes care of me. He's taking care of me. And I know in my dream, he's not going to let nothing happen to me. This is how it goes. And this is how not only the lies of Satan, but how if you never get it under control and learn about never learn about Christ, because I didn't know about at that time. Didn't you know that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit? And how did you grieve him?
Yeah.
So I didn't know that. So I'm having these dreams, and there was nobody there to tell me what to do. And so this is when I came across Pastor Stephen Darby. Now, yeah, he's the one who I said of all the things that and people I've been around, nobody, though because I never told anybody,
Okay.
which is why I tell you everything I find out on my own. Because even at this time, I don't have friends like that. I had two friends, but I couldn't go to them either because one of them was in worse than me. So how you gonna go to somebody like that? So I'm sitting up here dealing with my own mind and the fantasies and the things that are going through it. And I'm like, why can't I go to sleep? I can't go to sleep. I got to think about this entity. I got to think about, because he wasn't a man. He was a man, but not a real man. I got to think about this before I can get me some sleep.
Okay.
And a lot of times, and it's those fantasies that lead to certain things that you do. And um, so one day I went to go, I was on there, and somebody in, I want to say it was either Straight Talk, because at that time, that's when they came along to me. It was either Straight Talk, somebody had mentioned Pastor Steve Darby. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go listen to him. Let me see what he got going on in there and see what he's talking about. And so I started looking at his videos, and one of his videos, he said, y'all need to get rid of the spirit husbands and wives. So my eyes went like, what? He said, y'all sitting up there dreaming about these men and they're taking over, like they're taking over your life. And I'm sitting up there like, wow, that's what it's called. And he said, y'all need to rebuke of these demons that are coming. That's what they are. And they're taking over you. So I looked at that whole video. So, now my mind is starting to think, like, wow, this is what my life is going to. And I came to Christ on my own, because at that time I did not have a church to go to. I didn't have a pastor. And I came to repentance on my own, because I saw now that I'm leading myself straight to hell. And I always tell people I knew who God was, but I didn't know. Meaning I knew who he was, but I didn't know. Yeah.
So it's like you kind of like how I like to say it, like, for an example, let's say Donald Trump. We know
Right.
about him and can tell you a whole lot about him, but we don't know him. We
Right.
don't have a personal relationship with him.
Right. Right.
Just because you know about someone and you can name things and all that,
Mhm.
that does not equate to, um, okay, so I now have a personal relationship, with this person.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
so, yeah, yeah.
So after I looked at that video, then I started thinking like, wow, you know, you need to give life to him on some changes.
Yeah.
But it didn't happen right away. And what I can tell you, because it's my own opinion, after a while, and I think it's because I was getting more into wanting to hear about the word and hear about Jesus and know who God is, the masturbation became a work, meaning that it stopped being good. It started, it stopped being good. It stopped, the feeling stopped being good. It started to be a chore. And so in my mind, I'm like, this is not fun anymore. Girl, this thing, I'm gonna be sick. And I can see him too by this light. And it stopped being a chore. I mean, he's like right in my face. And I'm thankful for that fly, because he's keeping me from crying. I am so
Oh
thankful
no,
for that fly.
that's
But
okay.
I want to
Yeah.
kill him. And so um so one day in the act, and that's all I say like that, in the act, something popped into my head. And I can't think of nobody but the Lord. And now something popped into my head, said, boy, Don't you know that Jesus is looking at you while you do this? And I'm like,
Mm.
where did that thought come from? And I'm like, and so here comes the guilt. Then another, I call this the Holy Spirit now. I know it was working in me.
It was,
I didn't come to Christ right then and there.
yeah.
But you can't tell me that he wasn't moving, even though I had to make the choice of whether I would to continue what I'm doing or
Right.
to really look at how my life was going.
Mm.
And the next thought that came to mind, I call it a thought because that's the way I thought of it back then. You see me looking, right?
I
You
do.
know I'm wait. And it's a big black one too. And you know I want to get rid of him because he is getting annoying. So
Yeah.
what I thought was the thought that came to my mind was, wow, what did Jesus come and you doing that? Now I'm sitting here with my mouth like, oh.
Mm.
So I stopped what I was doing and I started thinking, what if Jesus come in? Every time I wanted to, what if Jesus come while you doing it? What if
Wow.
Jesus come while you doing it?
Right.
And I'm like, no, I want to go to heaven, and I don't.
Yeah.
I gotta stop what I'm doing. I gotta stop what I'm doing. And I went through all my stuff. I threw away all those books. I threw away all those toys.
Mm.
And because what I didn't know was I had to get those things away from me
Yeah.
because those were the things that I was addicted to.
Right.
I had, and I had to stop going to places where I knew. I had to, I think at that time my computer broke down, which I was so happy because that was that.
Right. Right.
And I started listening more to Pastor Stephen Darby.
Okay.
And it was around that time in 2022, I said, I'm tired.
Mm.
And I said right there, I didn't get on my knees because I'm sitting in a chair. And I'm like, okay, I'm tired of this. I said, I don't want to go to hell.
Yes.
And so I asked, you know, I said, God forgive me. Forgive me for the things that I've done. Forgive me for my sins.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, I didn't go into the whole sin thing about what sin I want to be forgiven of because
Right.
the man of God, once I said, forgive me of my sins, he already knew which ones I was talking about. That's what I thought. People say it's almost like you got to say each one. I'm like, but he was there. He saw everything I was doing.
Oh, everything.
And if he got them angels going back to tell him what I'm doing. So I said that right then and there. And I said, I need to get in church. I said, I need to find me a church home. So I do. Okay.
Oh, blow. You were
No,
good.
because this will be one of those bad ones.
Oh,
So, and I really want to get through the whole thing. So, mind you, the church is right across the street from where I live, maybe
okay.
about a half a block down. So I decided to join that church. But before all that, I started reading my Bible more and I started listening to, Pastor Stephen Darby, although some people don't like him. But I do because he's the only one and he dead. And he's the one whose video told me what was wrong and what I was doing. Where was everybody else? Why wasn't like the other pastors, the things I was looking at? Why they never talked about stuff like that?
Wow.
Why did it just become like known, like spirit husbands and wives? Was this a recent thing? But he was the first video I saw that talked about it. And so I have to, dead or not, I have to give him credit for what he said. And it helped me to open up and see where I was going wrong. And I needed to call on the Lord for help. I didn't have fancy words, and that's one of my biggest issues. That was one of my biggest issues in the beginning. Uh, but I went to church.
Mm.
Mind you, I stopped going to church. Okay. When I went into the church, I have a certain idea of way a church should be.
Mm.
So when I go to church, I'm bringing my Bible. I'm ready to listen and to learn. And hopefully, this pastor will lead me in the right way. When I found out that I would listen to a few verses and my Bible will never be opened again through the whole church. Okay, so half of the church was talking about who was married, whose anniversary, whose birthday, what are we going to be doing? Is there like something? So by the time the pastor actually got up to talk, he'll say, let's read in Psalms. So he'll read Psalms 1, 2, 3, the verse, and be like, and then he'll start talking. Mind you, I'm coming to church every Sunday, and I'm like with my Bible, and it's heavy,
Right.
but you're not having me to open the book. I got 3 verses on me. Now, mind you, I love the Bible study in the beginning before church.
Right.
I learned more from them than I did the pastor. That's how bad that was. That's how
Wow.
bad it was. And I told them that. I said, I hate to say this. I said, but I learned more being in Bible study with y'all than I do from the pastor. She said, oh, yeah, I know how you feel. I said, huh? You know how I feel?
Wow.
So this is not just me. Because I'm thinking like, maybe I'm wrong. I shouldn't be thinking like that.
Or you're the only one.
Yeah, right. But then I find out I'm not the only one. And these people have been with him over 20, 30 years. They're
Mm.
older women. So I'm like, didn't nobody tell this pastor this? Everybody was quiet. So every Sunday I would come. Okay, this is not even the side of evil. This is me trying to find who God is. What can you tell me about him? Can I need to learn? I need to know what I should be doing on my walk. But instead, I'm reading these books and I'm finding out, that these people are feeling the same way as me about their own pastor. And so I'm sitting in church and I kept getting it. I always say it's a God, but now I know it's the Holy Spirit. And I give him credit whether people say it was him or not. It's the Holy Spirit. I'm sitting in church and I'm thinking like, boy, I'm not using my Bible again. So the Holy Spirit would come and say, well, if you feel that way, why are you still coming? Well, because I like people at Bible study.
Mm.
So at least we got Bible study. One day it was Halloween. Now, mind you, it's not the first warning sign of this church. One day they had a party. I forgot what it was. It was some kind of party. I forgot what it was. Oh, what they call the Black History one. Black on the Black History Day that we got that month.
So it
But
was Black History
the
Month.
month, you're right, that month that we got that, or was it the day that we got? We got a day and a month, right?
Black
The
History Month.
Oh man. Okay, here we go with this again. Somebody gonna know what I'm talking about. They're
Okay.
gonna say it. So
Okay.
the first time I went, they playing worldly music. So in my head, I'm like, are we supposed to be playing this kind of music here in church? But
They
I
were
didn't say
playing
nothing.
what? Uh,
Worldly music.
Worldly. Okay.
Worldly music. So
Okay.
I'm sitting there like, are we supposed to be doing this? So I left, didn't think nothing about it. Juneteenth. There you go.
Okay.
I
Juneteenth.
knew
Juneteenth.
somebody would know.
Okay. Okay.
Girl.
Okay.
Then they invited me to a get together. They wanted to go and they'd say, we're having a party. All the ladies in the church are getting together. So I'm like, okay, sure. I go, one of the older ladies picked me up. She took me. Now I'm sitting there, mind you. They had a chef to come over. And then the man started doing shots. And I'm sitting up here like, so now I'm not saying nothing, but in my head is going, are we supposed to be doing this? And but I'm I'm having a good time, but I'm not. I mean, but I am. But I'm not going to be taking shots. I don't drink no more for one thing. But when I say shots, it's the one where you tilt your head back and they pour the drink, and you got to see how long you can drink before you spit up or you choke or whatever. And I'm like, are these? Do the pastor know these people are doing this, or
Wow.
does he even know? And so we went home. I had the video of it, but I've deleted it. I said, because at that time, knowing me, I would have posted it, and then the pastor would have known and everything. But some said delete that video, and so I deleted it, and I really started thinking like, wow, what is up with this church? Why am I here? So one day, Halloween came.
Mm.
They had what they call a trunk or treat.
Oh,
What they
yes.
call trunk or treat.
Trunk or treat.
Now I'm sitting there in Bible study, and they're talking about trunk or treat. And so I said, wow. I said, y'all, are we supposed to be celebrating Halloween? I said, they're like, oh no, the kids, we don't the kids can come dressed up, we getting the candy inside the trunk of a car. And so I'm sitting up there like looking and listening, and I'm like, so we still gonna celebrate the Devil's Day and send these and send these. Like I said, I said something smart. I said something like, "Oh, we gonna still be so we celebrating the Devil's Day." And I kid you, I barely can see straight, but I have good peripheral vision from the side.
Yes.
As soon as I made that smart comment, one of the ladies from the church, when I say, if I would have thought that something jumped into her at that moment, she gave me the evilest look that I would dare to say something like that. And I could see her. She don't know I can see that good on this side. I
Yeah.
can see so well. And I was like, oh, did she just change right there? And when I say change, I mean change. She gave me and she never gave me a look like that. So I didn't come. I told them I won't be there. Don't be looking for me. I said, because one thing I do know, we're not supposed to be celebrating this now. Now that we are supposed to be Christians, at least you're making me like wonder what's going on. The pastor never said nothing. He was involved in it. So one day I just got tired of the church. And I called the pastor and I told him what I thought about his church. I told him, y'all got about 5 different Bibles in there. You don't know. I said, all my life I've been a King James Version child from the beginning. I've never read a different Bible.
Okay.
So for you to come out with things like the NIV and the NLT and the New KJV, it's like, that's not the Bible my grandmother read from or that I read from and that they taught in school. It was always the King James. These new versions have suddenly come out and all these translations and stuff. So while the pastor was up there on the pulpit, he said, let's read from the Easy Read Bible. I'm like, what's that? There's an Easy Read Bible? I was, and that just helped it a little more for me to say, I think I'm ready to let this church go. Pastor Sean, we love you for you. We're loving the KJV. Oh, shoot. And so I'm like, okay, I don't know everything. Yeah. But I know something keeps telling me, why are you coming if that's how you feel? So I stopped and I called him and I told him, and I think he got mad at me a little bit, but we left on a nice term. It wasn't no argument. I just told him what I thought and I left.
Mhm.
Okay, mind you, even though you come to the Lord and you gave, and I'm giving my life up to Him, I still don't know what direction to go.
Yeah.
What do I do? So I know I got my Bible. So I said I need to start reading it and just reading until, and just, I guess, let God work in me. And so, story time. You can stop
Mm.
me whenever you want. One day, okay, after I gave myself up to the Lord, mind you, no church. This is just me coming to Him. I decided I go get baptized. Mind you, the reason I did it was because I was forced to get baptized when I was around 12, and
Okay.
nobody told me what it meant.
Mm.
They just dumped me under the water and sent me home. So when I came to the Lord, it started coming to my mind. You need to don't you get baptized again? This time you know why,
Why? Right. Right.
or at least I have some idea of why now you want to. I said, yeah, because even though we know that actual baptism doesn't save your soul,
Right.
but it was something that I wanted done because I didn't want to. Now this time I'm coming for, I'm doing this for God. I'm I want to do that, but I want to do it for Him, not for somebody else.
Right.
So, okay, this was before I left the church. Now, mind you, it's that church that baptized me. So I told someone, I said, that was one of the most beautifulest feelings that has ever happened to me, because this was before I started thinking about all this other stuff about the church. Now, I think this was what opened my mind up to what's going on in that church.
Mm.
So when they baptized me and they put me under the water, I kid you not, that was some of the most peaceful. It was like when the water went over and I'm under, it was quiet.
Oh, wow.
And I don't even remember the fact that I held my breath.
Mm.
And I kind of felt like I wish he would have left me under there. And that's how I was feeling. So
Wow.
when I came back out, I asked one of the ladies, do you know what I'm saying? I explained it to her. She said, I know what you're saying. She said, I understand. And it's how you feel. And so I'm like, okay. I'm like, I didn't want him to bring me up. That's how I felt.
Right.
And I felt so good and I felt so light and I felt like, wow, this is how it should have felt the first time.
Right.
So, so after that, now mind you, before I got baptized, this is the actual story time. This is what freaked me out. Mind you, I got baptized on the 3rd of September. Okay,
Oh, okay.
just like the song. And
Oh,
so it was 3rd of September of 20. I thought it was a 22. I think, yeah, 22. Because no, 23. Yeah, 23. I gotta go
20.
look at the year.
Okay.
But it was the 3rd of September.
Okay.
So the day before I was gonna go in and get baptized, I had a dream. Well, no, it wasn't a dream. That came later. I was laying in the bed trying to sleep, and I turned over towards where my mother was. I kid you not, there was a woman standing there. Not it was an old woman. She was gray, like she had laid in a barrel of just dirt and dust. She was an old lady. She was wearing raggedy clothes, and she was standing by my mother.
Mm.
Now, mind you,
Ooh.
I'm laying there because I'm like, what is this? And I'm jumping up and I'm like yelling and hollering and saying, you know, Jesus, 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 and I rebuke you. Now I got the rebuking going on. Now I know I got this power. I want to rebuke you. And I'm rebuking and I'm yelling. Scared the mess out of my mother. She woke up and said, "What's wrong?" I said, "You need to get." Oh, okay. See, this is why I say there's so much stuff that has happened to me. This was before. Go back some. We got to go back again.
Okay.
I had already given my life to Christ, but this was before the baptism. I'm gonna tell you
Okay.
about what I dreamed about before the baptism.
Okay.
I was like, you need to get rid of them pictures. You need to get rid of that, the clown and the devil in the
Oh,
bathroom.
right. Right.
I said, there's something in here. I said, and you just don't get it. I said, there was a woman by you. There's something going on, and it wasn't pretty, so I know it wasn't nothing good. And
Right.
this was the first time I actually seen someone in that room. And so I got up, I walked around, and now mind you, I'm still young in it. I don't know what to do.
Right.
And these women had, when I was still in the church, they went to Jerusalem and they brought me back this oil.
Oh.
And
Okay.
I remember they were saying, if you're having these problems, you anoint the rooms and you anoint this thing. So I'm going around throwing oil around here, putting oil there, and I'm just saying, Lord Jesus, help me, protect me, whatever was going on in there.
Right.
And so, okay, now the day before I got baptized, I had a dream.
Okay.
And one of the church women, before I left the church, she said, "Why don't you tell?" I said, "Because I don't think the pastor's going to want me to go up and tell them like that." But I never went up to tell them. I only told her. I
Okay.
said, the day before I came here to get baptized, I said, I had a dream. I said, mind you, now remember the woman I said was dusty and dirty.
Right.
She was gray. She was gray all over. There was not a color, not even to her face,
Oh.
not even to anything. It was just like dust and dirt. So I, the day before, I went to sleep and had a dream. I never had a dream like this before.
Okay.
And I know Satan knew what I was getting ready to do the next day. And I think
Hmm.
he was trying to take me out
Oh,
this
wow.
time. I fell asleep. I had a dream that I was in this house. It's like a mansion, but it was dirty. It was gray. It was just like dust hanging everywhere. And
Mm.
I'm laying on my stomach. I don't lay on my stomach. I
Okay.
don't lay on my stomach. I've never laid on my stomach. And I tell people it's so funny because when I dream, I'm not fat either. I've never dreamt myself fat. I said, and I don't know what that means. So I'm laying on my stomach, and all of a sudden, these hands come out from in front of me. And these hands were evil looking hands. The fingers were skinny and long, and they had grabbed my hands and started pulling me away off the sofa. Like if I'm laying on the sofa, they were pulling me this way.
Okay.
Now,
Mm.
mind you,
Mm.
some hands came out again from the other end of the sofa, but these hands were bright. These hands were normal.
Mm.
These hands, and it was like they had like and I want to say a robe because that's what the sleeves look like. And they grabbed my feet and pulled me back the other way.
Oh, wow.
Now, those hands that I call it the evil hands, let
Right.
go. Now, I got up out off the sofa, and when I did that, Mind you, in this castle, I call it a castle because that's what it looked like, but it was
Oh,
just pitch dirty. It was like piles of ash and dirt, and like when you have your fan on and your fan collects that type of dust inside of it.
right.
Then, mind you, there was a room, and something big and black came out of it. Big, black, and powerful
Big,
came out of that room. And when I say big, and I mean big, big,
like
and
abnormal size.
abnormally big, came
Mm,
out this room, and this room was pitch black too.
wow.
And so I saw it and I started running. And this is how I say it. And I have to laugh because it can freak a person out and it can freak me out when I think about the what happened. And I have to say this. I hate when doctors say, "Oh, you crazy, you depressed, and here, put you on some medications because
Oh,
this
yeah.
has helped you." And that wouldn't have helped me. Mind you, I got this thing started coming at me, and I knew I had to run because it was huge. Now, in my hand came a stick. Now, mind you, I'm running. And in my dreams, I'm athletic, so I can run.
Right.
And I'm booking. And all of a sudden, there's a stick came in my hand, and I slid to a stop. I took the stick and I rammed it into his chest
Mm,
over and over and over until it went down. I woke up.
mm,
I woke up. And so that day of my baptism, I told one of the ladies, I said, if I had to think of my own dream, I was being attacked by them demons of the past. They didn't want me to get baptized.
right.
They didn't want me doing nothing like that. And the hands of white were were Jesus grabbing me and pulling me back and giving me the stick that killed the bigger of the demons. And it was like, you have the power to kill these things. You have the power to step on them. You have the
Right.
power, to, and I didn't know those scriptures that well like that back then, but I know them now. And so she wanted me to tell, and I didn't tell that. I don't tell many people that story either because I have no one to tell those to sometimes. And I don't want people to think that, oh, something is wrong with her. She's seeing these dreams and she's doing all this stuff. But it's true. And just because you come to the Lord, they don't leave right away. Things don't leave right away. And I think sometimes people get this thing like, oh, I came to God, but why I still get attacked? I thought he was, but I not,
Well, I might.
because right, you still getting attacked. And you do, because either it's something you haven't given up to him yet. You're still battling something. Something is 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 still there that you haven't let go. There was a lot of things I haven't let go.
Right. Right.
And and so kind of like that was like the worst two things that happened to me in this house here. And as I started reading the Bible and reading my word, and things started becoming more clear, and then you find people, like Marlon when he does his stuff and you can hear things. And I still
Right.
see like Pastor Stephen Darby, even though he ain't here, his his videos are powerful. And it was the one that led me, one about the spirit husbands and wives, to lead me to coming to give my life over to Christ. And yeah, I still battle, but I know how to deal with myself now. When those
Right.
things come to me, I know who is in charge. Who, and he told me not to fear these things because I have the power to step on his head when he come at me. And and it happens. He is, your power is yours. You just gotta believe. You just gotta believe that what he told you is true. And that's why I think about like this world and this time now that the things we're going to, I could be paranoid. I really could. It's just as simple to be paranoid with what's going on. But if I remember that Jesus said, do not be afraid, these things are going to happen. So he
Right.
already told you it's coming.
Already
So
promised. That's
don't be
right.
afraid. Don't be afraid. Even when you are afraid, remember, he's with us.
That's right.
And so
That's
he's more powerful than anything that can come along with us now. And and I pray for my family that they will come to him. And I talk to him and talk to him and talk to him. And then, then I hear Marlon and them say, at some point, you just got to give it over to the Lord. Because
yeah.
you're not supposed to badger a person to Christ, because then they're not going to listen to you. It'll be just like you talking just the same old stuff over and over.
Right.
And it's hard because it's my family.
Yeah.
It's hard to just say, okay, I'm gonna let you go. But then always remember that Bible verse. What profited a man to save the world but lose your own soul? I
Oh,
have to
yes.
I have to take care of me and make sure I'm right with him. Make
Right.
sure he knows who I am. Build that relationship with him. Because all my life I didn't have it. I
Wow.
didn't have it. He was like on the tip of my thought. But it's so much different now. Not
Right.
saying all my worries and all my troubles are gone,
Yeah.
but they don't control my dreams no more. And like I said, when I came across my favorite scripture that helped me during the time that I was going through all these dreams, and just to kind of let you know, the music has a lot to do with it too.
Yes.
I heard a
Yes.
song. I
Yes.
heard I heard a song, and it was my mother. She liked the song. I didn't know she knew it. I'm like, how you know this person? I tell you, when they say this woman's music is demonic, it is, and it's it. It's gonna sound funny when I say who it is, and then you'll be like, oh,
Uh-oh.
okay,
Okay.
Rihanna.
Oh.
That song is called "Love on the Brain." I would not recommend anybody listening to that song because it's a nasty song. And if you see the video, you see how much evil is in that video.
Mm.
And when she played it,
Right.
I'm like, oh, this is a good song. Not knowing that me, a person is already weak in the mind. And that song played over and over in my head. Now,
Yeah.
this is before I came to Christ now. It
Right.
played over and over in my head that every time I laid down, I could hear the song. I could hear
Oh,
the song. And it's like I can't sleep because I can hear this song.
it is.
And and I'm opening and I'm laying and I'm like opening up because I have my tablet. So I'm no, I actually have my Bible this time and I'm going through it. And Proverbs 3:24 came out. When thou liest down, thou shalt not be afraid. Yea, thou shalt lie down, and thy sleep shall be sweet. I
Yes.
said, oh, okay. Now I have something like to help me. No, it didn't work the first time. I'm still going to sleep hearing that song in my head, but I'm going to say this verse over and over every night. So
Right.
it got to be repetition, and I had to sing it, and I had to say it. I had to say it. I had to say it, and eventually the song went further and further away
Right.
till it went away. So probably for the rest of my life, that would be one of my favorite verses. Then I learned the other two afterwards. And so now those are my favorite three I say before I go to sleep, just
Okay.
to remind myself that our sleep is not supposed to be disturbed. Now,
Yes.
our sleep is supposed to be restful. Now, I don't have restful sleep, but that's because of the neighbor. But our sleep is supposed to be restful. And
Right.
it's like the word, there's always an answer in his word for everything that you're going through.
Yes.
We
Yes.
just, we just got to look more.
Gotta
Was
look
it
for it.
study to show yourself approved?
Yes. Yes.
Study everything, every issue you got, there is something in there. But you
Yeah.
gotta believe it and you gotta follow it. You gotta listen because God is talking. And sometimes I can say for me, I've missed it, and I'll come back later and be like, "Oh, that was God talking. Why did I mess up doing that?" I didn't, it's like, man.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Yes.
But yeah, I've been through a lot of stuff, and like I said, I was going to tell you that last story because the relationship between me and my father was not good. But I loved my dad. I didn't call him dad. I called him Earl
Okay.
because I never saw him. I saw him. I knew he was my dad, but I never felt like he liked me or that way as a daughter. I had one gift from him in my whole life, and I lost it sometime in moving. One gift,
Great gift.
and yeah,
Mm.
it was, and I loved that gun
What
until
did he gave you a gun?
we went to Knoxbury Farm, and he bought me this cap gun, the one with the little thing go pop pop,
Oh,
but it was a real metal heavy gun.
it
I
was.
kept that gun for years, years until some way I lost it. I guess it was like it's time for you to let those things go. Even the things that he gave you, because what happened was I was looking for my dad. I went over to where he lived. I left letters. I spoke to the neighbor who knew something wrong with them neighbors too, mind you. They were old when I was young, and when I saw them, they were still old. And I was like, "What is going on with y'all? Why y'all haven't changed? Why y'all still old?" And I'm like, "Oh gosh," I said, "Okay." And so they said, "Well, he comes by sometimes." So I said, "Well, I left a letter for him. Maybe he'll call me." I left my phone number. I tried. I tried to get in contact with him because I wanted to tell him how I felt about the way our relationship went. And no, a bit like Beetlejuice. I think I saw that one. Well, that was Beetlejuice. I did see that one, Marlon. Okay, I wish I hadn't. There was a movie Marlon mentioned. And yeah, of course, I had to go be nosy and watch it, and I kind of wish I didn't.
I think it was Deliverance. Was
That
it
black with the black family.
right? No,
Yeah,
I didn't. No, I mm-mm.
I
No.
really wished I hadn't saw that.
Yeah.
I really wished I hadn't saw that movie. And but what happened with my dad was okay. So I tried for a long time, and then I finally gave up. I think I was like in my 20s or something like that. And I just gave up. And one day I heard Reverend Price say,
Mm,
if you don't forgive, how can God forgive you?
yeah.
Now, mind you, I still haven't given myself, at this time, I didn't give myself up to the Lord, but I knew I didn't want Him to not forgive me,
Right.
and that was my life with Christ when I was younger was weird. I knew that He was for certain things. And I'm like, well, I don't want God to be mad at me. I need to forgive him.
Yeah.
So when I went to sleep that night, I, I said a little prayer. I really talked to him and said, Lord, I forgive my father for what he did to me and for all the things that happened. And because in my head was like, you got to forgive. I'm like, I forgive him. I went to sleep, was waking up about, I say 2 or 3 in the morning. Now, mind you, I'm in the room. We had so many small houses. There was so many of us. We always smashed into these little houses and things. So I said I was in the same room as my mom again.
Oh,
Okay, so
that's okay.
there, yeah, there was a woman on the floor. Well, it's not as bad as it was the first time when I said the story. So I'm glad because I want to get over the pain of this.
Okay.
And but I always wanted him to be around me. And it didn't happen that way. So after I forgave him, I went to sleep. I didn't think nothing else about it. I already talked to God.
Right.
Around 2 or 3 in the morning, we got a phone call. And I'm sitting up there in bed because it woke me up. So I'm listening to my mother talk to this lady. And she was saying some stuff. So my mother was like, oh, okay. So when she got off the phone, I'm like, who is that? My mother said, I don't know. I
Huh.
said, you don't know? She didn't give her name. She said, no. She said she found our number in Earl's, which was my dad, Earl's book that he
Okay.
has. She called us to tell us he died.
Oh.
Now, mind you, I'm sitting up here with my eyes like this. I said, Mom, I said, before I went to bed last night, I prayed to God that and told him that I forgave him for all types, everything that happened between us. And
Mm,
then some woman calls that night, early morning, to tell us he was dead.
mm,
And me back then, I'm like, ooh, ooh, I'm glad I told God that I forgave him. And back then I was thinking like, for her to call me the way she did, was he waiting for that forgiveness from me?
right. Mm,
And and so that's how I thought of it all these years, was that he hadn't died yet, but he was waiting for me to forgive, and he got that message. And whatever his relationship with God when he passed, I don't know.
right.
I don't know.
Mm,
And something else I was gonna say about him, but I forgot what it was. But see, those type of things is when I wish I had somebody who knew the Lord back then,
right.
because there was nobody to tell me anything. It was just I said what I said, and it was it. Everybody went back to sleep.
Mm,
But I stood up and I thought about that, and I thought about that for years. Wow, was he waiting for me to say I forgave him? And that's one thing I asked the Lord: was he waiting for me to forgive him
right.
because of how that happened? Yeah, it's like so many strange things has happened through my life. What
You
time is it yet?
know, yeah.
I don't know, because I'm looking at that time. I'm like, wait a minute, it's getting a little long. But that's pretty much it. I mean, I
You know,
can't thank God enough for I had to go through these things before I came to Him. And I felt like there was a reason that I did. You know, and and I can't thank Him enough for forgiving me of my sins, of every last one of the things that I'd done when I thought He wasn't looking, and and how He brought to light that, yeah, I'm looking at everything you do, and that and He could have took my life. My life could have been dead a many a times in my past with some
right.
of the things I did. That's only a little portion of some of the things I did, but it's the ones I will tell, because the rest I relieve it to Jesus. He took it, and it's under the blood. And
Yes.
when
Yes.
and
Yes.
so you'll probably be the last one I talk about, because it's almost like it has to be a real good reason for me to repeat this again,
Right.
because I really want to put it under the blood and I think about it, because it's painful to know
Yeah.
that there was no one there
Yes.
that I could talk to. And but
Mm,
I'm a whole lot better than I was. I'm a whole lot better. And it's nothing but the grace of God that has got me to where I am now. My mind is still intact. I mean, I may not be remembering a lot of things, but I'm still in my same mind, you know. So
you know,
it's just going up from there.
2%. You, Tina, this is, wow, such, your story. So, I
It's
mean,
different, ain't
it's
it? It's
like
different.
no, no, what I was gonna say is that you see the hand of God moving so much, His grace and mercy along the way.
Mhm.
I wanted to touch on a few things. I didn't want to interrupt you, and I was like, "Oh Lord, okay, please help me to
Well, now
remember."
maybe you might want to do a part two then,
Yeah, yeah, because
because everybody gonna fall asleep and they're gonna wake up. Wait a minute, is it over?
exactly, exactly, exactly.
Because it's what,
So
9 or 10 for you? So
it
10
it
for some people.
and then it's later for
Yeah.
some. So
Yeah.
this is what I'm thinking is that, I mean, your
Question time.
testimony, yes, do we want, okay, I want to, do you want to, um, as you are, if you have, you know, more that you want to say, with your story, do you want to, we can do a part two where people can ask questions?
I mean, it's weird because all the people that I do know, they have the open. I have an open
They
book if they
already,
want to talk. No, they never talk. They haven't really asked me questions about like the things they heard from the old. But I'm like, it's okay, even though it hurts me sometimes. I
mhm,
don't mind answering those things. And if you're just curious about the stuff that I went through and
yeah,
why,
yeah,
and pretty much you hear it now. And but I don't mind people asking me stuff. I don't have that type of life where you can't come to me and ask me no personal questions.
right,
Come to me and ask me a personal question. Now, it's like,
yeah,
especially if it's about the things that I did and you want to know why,
right,
and pretty much I told you already was because it was I was in a rebellious state and I wanted to do what I could. And if it meant trying out certain things, I did, but then those things got caught. You get caught in the web.
right,
And you
right.
get caught in that web, of rebellion and not knowing the Lord's word and just running amok in your own ways. So,
Well, 2%, I want to say that, all of our stories, our testimonies, they're all, you know, different. And
yeah.
some may be similar, some may not. But to just hear how God was just moving and working
He
all
was
along the way,
moving.
it is just yes,
He was
yes.
moving and I didn't even see it.
He was moving when, yes, when you didn't, wow, absolutely,
I didn't even
absolutely,
see it. Because when I would give
absolutely,
him credit for some things like, oh God, save me. And I'm like, you ain't even saved. What do you call it for save? Save me
right,
for what? But he heard me. And I don't care what people say. You can tell me God don't hear a sinner. But he knew I was coming. And I think that's why he heard me. He knew I was on my way. And because he knows your beginning and he knows your end,
yeah,
he ain't gonna let nobody take you out
wow,
like that. Especially when he know you have to go through these things to come to him. Because I swear, there were a couple of times that I was on, I had people shooting at me, and that was another story because I was hanging around the wrong people at that time. And
right,
just the fact of
right,
messing with the occult, it could have took over my mind.
yes,
I could
yes,
I could have
yes.
lost my life doing the astral projection. I could have done
Well,
this.
let me touch on that for a second.
Where to?
Because no, because I saw on Facebook and it was talking about, and that's why when you were saying these, I mean,
Right.
just so it was on I mean, on, no, not Facebook, it was on YouTube,
Hmm.
and it was talking about the guy, I can't know his name, but this is usually around Halloween a lot of
Right.
times when you
Right.
see it, and it was the person who started the Church of Satan,
Oh, okay.
and it talked about, it was so what made me click on it, to like, is that they were saying about his daughter and something else about what happened,
Right.
and the people, and they verified who was with him when he died and
Right.
what he was saying, and it mentioned that astro, what you were saying, and what happened, he was doing it, and when he did it, they prayed or something, and they cut the, like what you were saying about the warning about cutting
About the cord.
something,
You
the
cut the
cord,
cord.
and people who were there, they were like saying that they heard, I guess, him saying something is wrong, or something like that, but
Mhm.
basically his last words of dying, you know, and it was,
Mhm.
to me, it was so sad. It was
Yeah.
so sad. I was just like, oh my gosh. So when you were saying that, I was like, oh my gosh, I remember, that they, talked about that, and he was doing that, and about the cord
Mhm.
thing. And the other thing that I wanted to just mention really quick is like what you were saying. Unfortunately, and I know that not every place that is like this, maybe more so than others, but the discipleship part. And when you mentioned that, and that is something that unfortunately is not happening a lot, is that
Mhm.
people get, they give their life to the Lord, and then they just like, okay, just send them off. And that
Mhm.
is not, Jesus said, go and make disciples,
Right.
of all
Right.
nations of men.
Right.
And
Right.
and unfortunately, a, a lot of that is not happening. And
Right.
and you wonder, you can't just send off a babe,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
not, and
And
that's
it
this
happened the second
this
time. This is they
doing.
baptized me once, sent me away, not knowing what's going on. But thank
Yeah,
God I know what it meant for the second time. But still, they didn't take me in the back room like they were supposed to.
right,
I thought I was
right,
gonna go to the back room and hear these people tell me stuff, what that mean, and
right,
they did not do it.
right,
And I
right.
started church because I knew I was going to learn. This
Mhm,
is the pastor. I knew I was going to learn, and the people who I'm going to, and I'm going to learn the word,
right,
and I'm going to be able to,
right,
go to Bible study. And I would walk out every day with my Bible and be like, "What did I learn?"
yeah,
And I even went back after I told him I wouldn't come back, and I listened to his sermon.
right,
And I'm like, it hasn't changed because I thought maybe it was just me. I'm being rude and I'm just like not giving it a chance. But I was there like over 6 months. I know I was there over 6 months. If you don't know that church ain't good in 6 months, there's something wrong.
right, right,
And I
right.
stood there a little too long. But no, it's like, yes, if somebody's coming to the Lord, you really need people who know the Lord when you need somebody to talk to. And otherwise, I wouldn't have done all those things because I was in an era when you listen to what the elders say, but there
Right.
was no elder saying a thing. So what could I do? I had to figure it out, which led me in all kind of wrong ways. But yes, sometimes when I do things, I'm like, that ain't God. That's evil. You
Yeah.
know, I'm like, what if they had a movie for everything that was wrong back in them days? I probably wouldn't have done a thing. Like I said, and in my now I will tell you this in my mind, I never wanted. I, my mom was afraid that I was gonna go out because I wanted, she didn't want me to get pregnant. Little did she know was that that wasn't in my mind. Why is that what you thought that I wanted to do? And so, if it was up to me, I would have been a 56-year-old virgin still, because that's how much that was not in my mind. And I laugh about that sometimes. Because when people tempt you to try stuff, and like they'll tell you, "Oh, it's so good," you ain't. I'm already messing around with porn and stuff like that, and people tell you that sex is so good. This is not. You don't know what you're missing. Blah blah blah. Now my mom get curious. What are they talking about? So I didn't get myself over till I was 24. Okay, was the worst decision I made in my life. It wasn't like, oh, it was cracked up to be like they were saying. And I was mad too because I'm like, you mean no, it's when I wanted to stay a virgin for the rest of my life. I didn't want to do that. I just wanted to travel.
Yeah.
And that was my oh, now remember, before I let y'all go, because I know some of y'all is late. I'm gonna tell
Yeah.
you this about my dad, which is one of the more painful things. So when I got out of high school, I was so mad and stuff at my mother and things, but never let me do anything. I told her, when I leave high school, I'm gonna become a truck driver and I'm gonna go cross country and I'm gonna leave and I can do what I want. So that never happened. I went into medical because at that time there was no training for truck drivers. I
Mhm.
didn't know nobody who was a truck driver. I'm 50. 54 years old. At 54 years old, I found my brother who I lost, which is on my dad's side. I lost for all those times when I was like, he was like 3 when I lost track of him. And he still remembered me. And so when they found out where my dad was buried, they found out. Now this is the part that had me cry the most. They found out he was the number one truck driver for this country, this company.
Mm.
He was a truck driver. What I wanted to do.
Wow.
He was in high one trucker. It's what I wanted to do. Where was he? The one person who could have got me into that, who could have taught me like how to be a trucker. Wow, my dad, I'm just like my dad. No, didn't work out like that.
Yeah.
So I think that was one of the painful things that was how could he be a truck driver? And he known me, he would have known I wanted to do that.
Yeah.
And things probably would have been different.
Yeah. So,
Now see, this is why I don't like talking about him. Because it still hurts. Because I'm like, when they say a, a man is a big part of the family,
yes.
and it is, it's the truth.
Yes.
Whether you know God or not, that dad makes a difference.
Yes.
And so it when they read it out to me, I just was crying all over the place, like, why you didn't tell me? Why he didn't look for me? Why he don't know nothing about me? And so you come to a point you have to let it go. But then when I bring it up, it's a painful situation. But I'm praying for that release that if I ever tell the story again, the more I tell it, if I decide to tell it, the less painful it'll get.
Right.
Because, yeah, yeah, people don't know how much your lack of being around does to a kid. When they looking for you, you can load them up with all the toys you want, but if you ain't there, there's a missing part. There's a piece missing. It's not really the toys that we're really looking for. So and so yeah, but that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Well, gosh, I wanted to go through the comments because there were a lot of comments that were made. I
That gonna be
know,
hard too.
I know yes, yes. Um, well, I did want to Layla. She said,
Oh, okay.
did you always live in California?
Yes.
Okay, okay, okay.
Listen, yeah, no, I would love to get out of it. But, if it's meant for me, I always believe God will make a way.
Okay,
But I'm here.
okay. Mr. Marlon Brown, Mr. Brown, he came, and he,
Ooh, Marlon.
yeah, he said yes. So he was here for a little bit. Um, and I tell you, so many people, 2%, they really, they love you,
I love
and
them too. And
they
I'm
like,
still there's so much
like,
I'm still learning. You
and,
know,
mhm,
there's so much I'm still learning, and there's so much that I may not get it right, but I always know that I can take it to the Lord, and eventually I'm gonna get my answer. And but yeah, I mean,
we're
yeah,
all, yeah,
you never give up in that the things he said you receive, you get what the scripture, you don't you ask not, so you get not, or you get not, so you don't get because you don't ask. It's something like that. And at the time, I never asked for anything. I never asked for anything. And maybe the things I asked were selfish, and a selfish more for me. And I have to learn that it's not about me, and it's all about the glory of for him, of the things that, when I get things, all credit goes to him. You say, oh, I'm finally out of here. Yeah, I got myself out of here. Now you're talking about yourself. You ain't never giving God credit. And I have to learn that, and all things for the good, because I'm still learning. And I thank God for the people I know and the friends and who are helpful to me, because now I got people who are on the same, road as me.
Yes. 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 Wow. It's okay.
And it helps.
Yeah.
It helps when you got people who love God. And
Yeah.
even when you ain't got nobody, I got them.
Yeah.
They came into my life for a reason.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right.
So I'm tired of crying.
No, 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 no. You are fine. Like I told you, look, I was like, when you said yes, you did such a just a powerful story, your story, and no one can take that. No one,
Yeah.
you know what God did in your life and the transformation and from darkness to light and was keeping you
Yes.
while you was even on that path.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
But the hardest part is while these things are happening, you have no one that understands. I think that was one of my biggest things. It's not having someone who I can take it to, and and who wouldn't think that I was crazy. Because I've had people think I was crazy when I started saying like the things that I've seen and the things. And I'm like, well, gosh, I'm in this age and still there's nobody to talk to. And I do. I thank God for the ladies and the gentlemen that I know in this group. I thank God for people like Too Strong, Straight Talk, that come into your life that, especially Marlon, now that he's here, now I can brag on him. Although sometimes I'm gonna tell it. Sometimes I'd be looking at him like, like, even when I think even sometime in my mind, I'd be like, you ain't right about this. Don't tell me this. And it'll come up later that I'm like, okay, maybe Marlon was right. And 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 that was one of the things I had to let go, because sometimes I think I'm the only one that's right. I know what this is. This ain't what he meant. This ain't what. So, and sometimes it's just a hard head, and I'm working on that. I'm working on that. I'm working on that, Marlon. Although, I think of him as my online brother. And it's like they all online brothers and sisters, and and I'm grateful. I'm grateful for what God has done for me in my life, and will continue to do, because I have to let people go. I have to think of, and it's not selfish to think about you, because if the Lord say, what is it going to profit you to save everyone, but you let yourself go to hell, and you lose yourself. I don't think it's selfish to want to get yourself together, because when the end comes, we all stand alone. And
that's right.
And I want to make sure he knows who I am.
Wow.
I want to build that relationship, and that's my thing. And I know the Lord knows sometimes the doubts and thoughts that come in my head, which I'm trying to get rid of. And a lot of things I haven't gotten rid of. I have gotten rid of. There's a few things, and I know in time those things will be answered too. So
Yes. Yes. Amen. Well,
thank you, Miss
2%.
Diane. Thank you, Miss Diane. Yeah, I hope so. It's a crazy ride, but it
Yeah.
brought me from a long way, a
Yes.
long way.
Yes. Well, 2%. What would you say in closing words? What would you say to someone who was once where you once were struggling with addiction and with having went into the occult a little bit? What would you say to someone? Your
Well,
last, um, yes. What would
it's hard to say it because if I had to think about how I thought about it back then, um, now I would just say you need to find the Lord. You need to come to repentance, and I had to come to repentance, but I had to hit bottom too. And sometimes you gotta hit bottom, and you gotta stop thinking. How can I say this? Sometimes you let the world and the stress and the of the way your life is going, and you say, "Oh, I need to release this stress." And this is how it feels. So I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna do this. No, you're fighting a battle, and it's a battle against these demons. I'll say it because that's what it is. Because you're fighting against an unseen force, and you think that you know. It took me a long time. It took me many years to know that I was heading in the wrong direction because I was living in the joy and excitement of it. Oh, joy. No, not to say that word. That word has been said too much. I was living in the excitement of doing what I was doing. I would tell someone, I would have to tell someone my story because I have no really direct answer for that one. But I will tell them in the end, you need to come to Christ because it should your the things that you do could possibly take your life. It really could. And what are you going to do? What are you going to do if it does take your life? And the one thing that made me change, what are you going to do should you be doing that and Jesus come? Now you're totally lost because now you're in a sin while he's here. And it was like a scare tactic for me. It's like, huh? Like, what, what, what would I do? I would be totally lost. And I've never had nobody come to me in the situation that I've been in, but I have with the other thing as far as the porn side of it. And I can only talk to you the way I would have wished somebody would have talked to me. But if you're not ready to hear, you won't hear. You won't hear, and life can keep you caught because it kept me caught. Life will keep you caught in that until you're ready to stop. But now in this day and age, it's like you need to put some speed on yourself. You know, keep saying these excuses about you know stress or whatever, and I probably wouldn't be easy because I knew what I've been through. Thank God he didn't come back in them days. I thank him for that. I thank him that he didn't come back when I was in the worst. But for somebody who's now and the way things are going, you don't have all that time. I really do feel like there's less time now than when I was younger. And so I'd be like, it's time to stop. It's time to stop. You need to put some speed on it. Stop feeling sorry for yourself. Stop letting Satan take over. You need to get in your word. You need to know how that the power that you have, and you need to start using it. Even when it fails, you need to keep going at it. So that's it.
okay? Okay.
Because I
All
know how
right.
I feel. I know
All
it took me a
right.
while to learn. So
Yes.
it's
Yes.
going to people a while to learn, but we don't have that time now.
Yes,
And
yes,
at least that's the way I feel. We don't
right,
have that time. And thinking like that keeps me on the right road, okay? It
yes,
does. Because
yes,
I've had people do things to me that can easily set me back. And I had to get on there and let them know what they did wrong and let them know where I am now in my point in life and that they need to get that way too. And to don't send me, and I had to get kind of a little rough with them. Don't send me stuff like that through, on my for me to see. I don't need to see things like that. You
yes,
made me feel stuff. And I don't know. I guess, sometimes how to handle certain situations. It would be nice to ask somebody about that. Maybe I should have went a little more into it, but you
right,
know,
right,
I don't want different stories. I want everybody to the ones I ask. I want everybody to be on the same page. Because if we're
right,
different pages, then I'm going to be confused again, and I'll leave it alone and I'll just pray on it and just do like that. I'm an easy person. I don't have because I never like to make people feel bad. Never. Even when I was young, I've always had that mentality. Even though people would treat me bad, I've never had that feeling, that thing like I got it. I want to make you feel bad too.
right,
Because so even when people do things wrong to me, I still feel that way. I'm like, I don't want to make you feel bad because I
right,
don't, because I don't want to argue with you, and I don't, you know, you're my friend. I do want to tell you where I stand though, as
right,
far as my relationship with Christ. Don't send me stuff like that no more, or I may have to let you go.
right,
You know,
right,
but this person has been my friend since high school, and it's kind of a little harder to let her go. But I
right,
may I may have to go ahead and tell her I'm gonna have to let you go because if you're gonna be that type of person to me, I have to let you go.
right,
You know?
right. I'll say this before ending is that, that's why I think we have to be sensitive and careful because when because we don't know what people have gone through
Yes.
and what they have battled through and for some we
I'm
know you're
sorry.
battling those flies and
It's
so
another bad.
and yes, and so you just don't know. And what may seem like, well, what's the big deal? But
Yeah.
it's a lot for somebody who has, gone through certain things and
And
fought through and as long as we're in this flesh, as we got the devil, the flesh, and the world that
right.
we are fighting against. And thank God we have the Holy Spirit who,
Mm-hmm.
greater is he who is in us than he who is in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
we do have power, we do have help in him, but you just don't know. You could
Mm-hmm.
be a stumbling block for someone. And
Yes.
in
Yes.
God's word, it says,
Yes.
"Woe to the person who caused one of these little ones, to fall. It'd be better that that a millstone is tied around your neck and thrown, into the.
Yes.
It's a
Yes. And even I have to be
you
careful.
it's a serious
Right.
thing. And then what you
Right.
may struggle with may not be what somebody else struggles with. And so we have to be, careful about, oh, you're too sensitive, or oh,
Right.
you're too, it's like you could
Right.
have on one hand, oh, you're too sensitive, oh, you're too strict, but then
Right.
you don't know,
Right.
what the person has, their testimony, or maybe what they've gone through, what they
Right.
still may be battling through,
Right.
whatnot. And
And
so
I have to watch what I see. And when I say sometimes the devil will come back and you don't and people who have never lived this life won't understand that the first thing that comes that has any type of look of things that I have battled in my past, especially the pornography,
mhm,
even if you think it's a funny post, even if you it's and I see it a different way, and you will have that. Okay, you will have that stuck in my head. My head will start to think, what is this person doing in this post? And what? So your mind will go back to what you know. And
Mm,
to a person may think it's funny, but for me, it has made my made my made things come back. So I have to go in and do things like go pray. I have to go read my word. I have to I have to get busy because being idle is the worst thing that people like us can do
yeah,
is being idle.
yeah.
And
I don't mind.
it's
It's the
true.
devil's workshop. Yeah,
Yeah,
with
that's the
scripture.
truth.
Yeah,
That is so much the truth.
yeah.
Yes. So I'm
Well,
gonna shut up because for some people it's 10 o'clock.
yeah, so 2%.
10
And
a.m.
everyone, I just want to say some people may have already left, and I totally understand that and get that because this
Oh
this
no, they still here. No,
this was
I
a
think
long live, and but I didn't want, but it was worth it. It was all to hear our sister's testimony, and for those who will come behind and will listen to her testimony, and I see a lot of hope. There is hope, and because that is one of the things that I was kind of saying to 2% that the hope that is coming out of her testimony for others, and also how it shows people that we may think that God is not dealing and working with them. We have no idea.
yes, he
We have
really
no
is.
idea. We and so what I get is that we keep praying for that person, even when we may think that nothing is happening, or
Mhm.
if anything, just keep praying. And so 2%, you are, I just want to say that you are welcome anytime back on. Um, you are welcome. And I am just want to say once again, thank you so much for coming and being sharing your personal testimony,
Yeah,
and to just kind of walk back down that road,
memory lane,
and
huh?
to where you're at. Yes,
Yeah,
yes. And I just want to say thank you so much.
you're welcome.
And I was blessed by hearing your testimony. I was,
You
and
learned a lot, did
I did. And
probably.
I have to say the yeah, I was like, okay, bracing myself like, oh my gosh, for and
It is true.
it
It is true. You see these things, and I want people to know you see these things. If you think people are lying to, they say, how people, crazy people on the street, they talk to themselves because they act like they're talking to someone. They might be. They might be swinging and fighting because they do see someone. And nobody believed that I saw these things except that one guy from TSA, but he was crazy too because he wanted to hear it. He was enjoying it because he thought it was something he never heard before. But I tried to feel, I said, look, I'm not crazy. I said, these things happen.
yeah.
When you play around, you will see. That's like that movie Constantine. I don't know if you ever saw
No,
it.
no,
Good. You don't need
no.
to.
I don't know.
You don't need
I
to.
I don't open, no.
But this was before. Okay, this was before. So the
Right.
thing was, she wanted to see. She
Hmm.
saw. And the thing about the water, there's a meaning for that. There is a meaning for that. It's like an opening to the other side.
Mm. Yeah.
That's why she told me you have to be in the bathtub or
Mm.
water. And if anything, these movies tell you is it's the truth. And they put it as entertainment, but people don't realize what they say is no lie.
The try to I take it like try to water it down, but
Yes,
what I try to do myself is just try not to even go there and open
no,
any doors
it's
there
best.
because it
I wish I
you
had
know
no one there. You
Yeah,
know.
because the spiritual realm is real, and we do fight against, not against flesh and blood, but against powers and principalities and high
Mhm.
places. And so um yeah, that's what I try to
Mhm.
do. I'm like, I'm not going to try to be like, oh, I'm strong enough, I can do. No,
Mhm.
no, no,
No,
don't even.
don't do
No,
it.
I'm
Don't
good.
do it. Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
good at watching My Little House on the Prairies.
Yeah, stay like that. Stay like. I guess that's the
Little,
best way to pull it. But
yeah,
also, you want to be ready for those things that come.
yeah,
Should somebody, maybe somebody will come to you and say, "I have this issue." It's like, so if you don't know how you gonna help, you gotta find somebody who know what they know.
yeah,
You know,
yeah, yeah.
don't come to me because they gonna make me tell the story again.
Well, well, 2%. We
Yes,
are going to,
ma'am.
yes.
Yes, let's do
So
this.
everyone, thank you once again. Thank you. Please share this amazing, just powerful testimony so that others can be blessed as well. And on, I guess, do you have anything else? You're good. Okay. Okay. Well, on that note, I want to say to everyone, until next time, God bless, and
Bye,
continue to live
everyone.
out your faith boldly and grace and mercy. All right.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.